Hey guys, welcome to the Sunday Live Thoughts. And happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there. Thanks for joining me on this day. It's been a rough week. This program today is dedicated to Mr. Fisherman. And he is still with us. Thankfully, I'm not on here to say that he is not with us. He's still with us, and I can say that he's doing pretty good. Got it. Yeah, I can say that he's doing reasonably good. Not entirely good, but he is considering what he's gone through in his life. It's kind of a miracle that he definitely has a 9 lives ethic, which is not to say that he's not out of the trouble area. Let me know that this connection's okay. When sometimes from my studio it gets a little crazy, but so I don't want to say, because sometimes Fisherman jumps up and down as far as like how he goes. He's this cat that basically you can never predict, how he's going to be doing each day, and he's a fighter. He's my vet, Dr. Todd Carlson, who I'd like to thank right now. That guy is a brother. I mean, anybody vet that tries as hard as Todd has, it's a lot for Fisherman to go through as well, because it requires him to go into a treatment in a vet for 5 days. And you know what an environment in a vet is like. There's crying animals, all sorts of things, and it's like he has to shut down. And I see that, like, we visit him each day and make sure that he knows where he's at, but it's really tough to know that even though we're trying to save his life, it's also really hard to leave him in that environment. So we decided to take him out after he got his numbers down about 10%. So last time he went in there and did this, he got his numbers down by 70%. So that's why we chose to do this. There is a lot to be said about kidney disease with cats. I heard that Japan had invested some $1 billion or something into the study of kidney health in cats to try and improve the situation. Obviously, it is a case of overall scenario of food. It's the food that they are eating versus the food they should be eating. And I've heard estimates that a cat's age could be doubled, or at least near to doubled where it is now. If we could just zero in on what makes, kidney disease, I think it must be like 80% the most prevalent disease with a cat. And I've gone through this many times before with all of my other cats. Despite we think we're doing the right thing, we think we're feeding them all the best foods, we think we're getting them the best diet, the best nutrition, and then it still turns out to be this situation. And then what's really weird is that the cats that I had when I was a kid lived to be 20 years old almost, and they were the cats that were like literally eating out of the bag at Purina Cat Chow, and that's all they ate. That's what my mom did. She'd rip open a bag of Purina Cat Chow, and they just could eat as much as they want. And what's weird is that they lived the longest. I used to think that my mom was wrong for that, but my mom was a cat breeder, and 40-year-old kitty, eh, Scully? Wouldn't that be the way? No, we've all lost cats, and I think, like, it's not a matter of losing a cat, but in this case of, like, it's Father's Day, I guess I'm his dad, and in that way, he's my son, because, I have stepkids through Rihanna, Draven and Aria, but basically, I don't have biological children. My biological children have always been my cats. Family members, absolutely, Alice. And, super special. Like, I mean, what could be more special than your cat or your dog? I mean, I actually share the same bond now with my dog, Connie Roberts. Yes, my dog's name is Connie Roberts. Don't ask me why. It's just like one of these weird names that come to mind, and I just name the animals that name because it's in my head. It's like this is, I see the animal and it just intrinsically says the name. It was the same with Fisherman. It's just right away you know what their name is. It's like you're meeting them and it's like, wait, your name is Tiger Lily. So it's, I don't know. I gotta say, the best years of your life is always shared with something that unconditionally loves you, and your cat is something that, or your dog. Basically, you get unconditional love. You wake up each morning to that. I mean, I'm sorry, eternally on me. We're eternally kind of goofing with each other, and he is one of the most remarkable cats I've ever had. He loved chicken. He's always in the studio. Loves music. Absolutely loves music. And I gotta say, maybe he's responsible for part of the music. Rihanna's always said he's the spirit of Dwayne. I thought, like, wow, wouldn't that be weird? He certainly has the same eyes and pink sort of complexion somewhere in his face. Yeah, pretty magical cat. When he was jamming on David Wright's gear that day, I was just like thinking, wait, he is trying to hear sound from that gear. He sat there and pushed those buttons. Remarkable. He recovered from near death right in the beginning of his life, from when he was fixed. Basically, somehow he almost died from that. Luckily survived, and again from Dr. Todd. So big up to Dr. Todd. So this house has always been cat haven. Of course, that's Chicken and Gomez there. They were the brother and sister that came from the legendary Karen Black. And they passed in 2017. I cannot believe it's 5 years already. Fisherman has been holding the post and basically has always been the younger one. But, now he's the older one, and I don't know. What an amazing life we've had together. That shirt says Neko Inochi, no life without a cat. He'll sit on my favorite records until I play them. I'll be like, Fish, do not sit. Oh my God, it's the Sun. Oh, you want Sun Ra? These are bed cats. I don't know if you guys know what bed cats are, but you gotta just squeeze in there. And you know what? It's been that way my whole life. So I'm kind of used to it. But there's nothing like, waking up in the morning to those blue eyes and that little cat. We've been told that the Javanese strain that Fisherman is very rare now. And our breeder said she doesn't have any more. So who knows? We might have to do some investigation as to where the Javanese have gone. It seems like in Russia is where most of them are, or at least a strain of them. At the beginning, Fish was so small. Look at the Tenorian. I mean, he by the end, he's like 15 pounds nearly. Probably would have crushed that. And now it's sad that he's about 5.5 pounds right now. That's him in Booty Boots, the dog before, Connie Roberts. Though remarkably, she does look exactly like Connie Roberts. Yeah. Fisherman, eternally in the studio. I just want, as well, I want to express a huge thank you to you Patreon people and supporters who I'm ever grateful to, that have come along at a time like this and shown your support in the way that you did. It's kind of overwhelming, to say the least. But it's not like it isn't for something special. I mean, I can barely put words to this cat. He's in interviews. I Dream of Wires. He's on my gear. That's my TB303. He can talk. We do have family meetings. He's part of the legendary Pink Dots. He loves Moog synthesizers. There's graffiti of him in South America. That is actual Fisherman graffiti. Yes, he is very spoiled. Until the minute he stops breathing, till the second he stops breathing, that cat will be spoiled. Probably the best cat out of all the cats, of the hundreds of cats I've known. I mean, I think I added it up. It was like I've had 12 cats or something, but sometimes you just have to say he is the one that has really, you know, touched my soul more than any of them. Yep, he's the best dread cleaner in town, too. So, funny, I didn't know I had this many pictures in the folder. But I guess there's this many to enjoy. But basically what I wanted to say, oh, that is my favorite picture of him right there. My God, I could smooch with him. I guess maybe that's one of my favorite pictures too. I mean, the shape of his eye, the right eye, is so perfect. And his fangs. I mean, there's something about him. We got it immortalized into a blanket. You can see that he is at his big 15-pound size there. It's also been immortalized into the shirt that many of you may have. Maybe you didn't even know it was Fisherman. But Fisherman, like, you've never seen a cat pose for a camera more often than Fish. This is the first time he ever saw himself on the cell phone, which definitely a reaction. This is the first time we ever met him. This is the first minute that I held him up in the air. And you can see with that right paw that he's clenching at that, it's called fishing. Some people call it making muffins. We call it fishing. Row, Fisherman, row. By the way, Fisherman was on the Animal Planet. Under Javanese, there was basically a show about Javanese cats, and basically who's on it? Fisherman. We called up the breeder and said, could it be possible that he was on the show? And she said, yes, they were out here filming us and filming that. They filmed him. I was like, okay, there he is. He does have his own webpage. But basically, I'd like to thank all you guys here. Derek, Gerald, Tina, Robin, David, Jeffrey, Roy, Alice, Jason, Treasure Island, Jason, Brian, Cauliflower, Joseph, Christina, William, Holly, Laura, Cameron, Shannon, Aaron, Stacy Lynn, Tom, McDuff, Spencer, Jake, Christy, Ian, Joshua, Dorian, Kyle, Lisa, Cody, Melissa, Anthony, Mystic Red, Jeremy, Deborah, Robert Vogel, Whitney, Michael, Steve, Holder, Lars, Andrew, Eric, Mark Kono. Thank you, Mark. You're from the place that's already hurting. I know you're from Dave Smith Instruments. I love you guys. Big up to you guys. Jennifer, Robert Flynn, Daniel, Joey Galvin, Cherry. By the way, thank you all for your help with Fisherman. Yeah. You know, it's a family affair sometimes around here. And I very much appreciate it. And I think we may have a little visit by Fish in a minute, but oh, I think I might hear it now. Are you bringing Fisherman down? I think we might have a little visit from him, and you guys can say hi. There he is, the musical cat.
Hi, baby boy.
Hi, Fisherman.
Say hi.
What do you guys think? He's not doing too bad when he can actually... Oh, sounds like Connie's barking upstairs.
Oh.
You love that Connie too, don't you? Oh, he's so small now, guys. So half of his problem is he has a bit of a breathing issue. I love you. Did you know that?
Yeah, good boy.
Maybe. Say hi to everybody.
Say hi. The
So
fish.
he is being spoiled, everybody. Don't think that he isn't being well taken care of, and he is being spoiled to the max. So from here, mommy will take him, and
Give him his fluids.
basically we have to do all sorts of medication and subcutaneous fluids. If anybody out there is going through a situation with their animal and they have kidney issues, we've been lucky enough to have one survive almost a year. And I've heard that they can even survive longer, but I myself consider that a miracle. And we had many, many, many things that we did to basically keep them going. So if you guys are, if anyone's specifically interested, you can contact me directly, and I will collaborate some information for you. I shouldn't say that this chat isn't entirely not inspirational chat. Typically, I like to keep the chats inspirational. It's really weird how at the time when things are sad and going bad, that there can be some things that turn around and go right. You guys are probably wondering what I mean about B&B. Well, as you know, been working on two things beginning with B for so long that it's almost gotten to be, we're getting into years of each B&B, and it's been one of the most testing things ever. And the first thing is, of course, Brap. Brap has been in existence for, I'd say 3 years ago, we were already talking about it with demos online. The development of it took way longer than what I had ever expected. But I do have to say, this is the very first one that was ever made, and you'll notice on the right side here it has an LFO and it has a sample and hold. It does not have what eventually you'll see another jack here, which is this is a second edition with a new PCB, and this was what all the changes that after you make a first one got implemented into the second edition. So this has CV control of mode, this has CV control of various things that weren't on the black one that you saw. And at this point, we were a year and a half. I'd say I thought we could do this in 6 months. Nope, a year and a half. And then this is called the gold standard unit. The Mr. Blue, we'll call this the gold standard Brap unit. And this was the hand-built prototype, #1 prototype. So what we had to do with this one is get it to sound like the prototype on a PCB, which is sometimes not exactly the same, and to struggle to get it to be the same or what you liked about the initial one becomes that challenge. And I became so picky that this unit went back and forth for I'm going to say 8 months, just with changes, because unfortunately my co-designer Phil Gallo, that has been on a previous chat here, that moved to Colorado, and so when we're working on things, we have to ship it back and forth. This unit has been shipped, I'm going to say, 50 times between LA and Colorado. So the good thing is it gets the test of shipping too, so you know it's going to be built to last. So we did finally get it to be up to the standard of this black one, and then surpassing it. And then so I'm happy to say that through many, 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 many days and multiple times where parts and my God, so many delays, I'm happy to say that right now I can present you the history of Brap, and it's finished. It's finally finished. Yeah, the lighting's blowing out that beautiful pink. Yes, that one is indeed pink. Okay. You can see Mr. Blue there. Mr. Blue is essentially, the first one you saw is like the gold standard one. It was like, yeah, the initial go-by unit. Fisherman, would you like to see it? I think maybe he might not.
So your little thing where Fish had his cameo, it was pointing at something else. You didn't even see Fisherman.
Are you kidding? Well,
No.
we better show Fisherman then if that's the case. My apology. Where could it be pointing?
It was pointed like I just watched it.
I saw it on the screen, but okay. At the same time, let's say hi to Fish again for a second. And Fisherman has heard every development of Brap, and what I'm going to say is, yep, there he is. Fish, will you officially approve it?
He says, I will sneeze on it.
Okay. So, Mr. White here actually was what we want to call the modified Mr. Blue. So, in other words, we made some changes to Mr. Blue that were like, sort of like, when part shortages came, we had to like refine parts and redesign a PCB around the part shortage. That's basically what I was listening to an interview with Dave Smith yesterday, where he was talking how they were doing the same thing. Believe me, we thought we could wait for the parts. We were told that some of the parts are 2 years out. So we basically just redesigned and had to rework. And then so what that required was a new PCB. The new PCB basically went into Mr. White. Mr. White became the go-by standard and basically was the unit that then became shipped back and forth. And then when we're completely finished with Mr. White, it was time for Mr. Pink. And what Mr. Pink represents is a clean PCB, no reworks, no rewires, no changes, all the parts as we had articulated throughout the sort of history of Mr. Black, Mr. Blue, Mr. White, and now Mr. Red. Pink, Mr. Pink. So Mr. Pink theoretically now is the gold standard go-by. And there was 2 or 3 things that when Mr. Pink was finally put together and finally tweaked and finally everything that still had to be tweaked. Still little minute things that would come up. I couldn't stand for this, I couldn't stand for that. And Phil Gallo had enough of me almost. But basically, it's done. So I know I've said that a number of times that we're close, but I've never come on here and said, it is done. It is done, done, done. I'm sending this to the factory tomorrow. And Mr. Josh Hawley from Maleko is going to take this because that's why it's pink. And it's going to be taken apart. And then we're going to basically put the PCB, get the fresh PCBs in there, the parts, all that stuff going, and start building them up. So you're going to be, the Patreon people here, you guys on Patreon, are going to get the first go at the first 50 pre-orders, which are going to be for the colors. So you can order a blue one, a white one, a pink one, a black one. Basically, whatever, whatever you... I think there was a few different choices I had put up here earlier that we had originally suggested, but it hasn't really been decided whether or not this is going to be the final. But I would say it's a pretty good guess that could be one of these colors. There's this beautiful white and green, or white and pink on purple, pink on white, black on green, black on purple. Pretty cool sort of list of choices. I have to say that it sounds insane. And before I go into the other B and let you know what the other B is, I guess I should say no more, and give you a little sample of what it sounds like. I'm going to do just a brief thing, okay? yes, indeed, I do have a Star Lab being fed on a effects return there, just to delicious it up a bit. But I mean, the thing is so fun to play with. I mean, you could play. I could play. It's funny that we're the makers of it, but I can jam on this thing forever. There's not many things I have that it's like I never get bored of it, and I think it's the nature that an early skinny puppy. Basically, we also really use the SY1 a lot. I mean, it was really nice, and I think this thing is much more radical than the original SY1. The original SY1 is analog, fully analog, and the circuitry is almost the same. It's just that ours is basically DCOs with separate tuning abilities applied that you have the ability to, and also CV control of all sorts of stuff and modes all between all the modes. I didn't even get into it. I was just basically hitting a trigger on one channel there and a trigger on the other channel. Now what you can do is you can basically link up both channels as one super giant one. So it's just stupid how many options you can also send CV and gate inputs, so that basically you have two synths, upper and lower, or link it together for one giant four DCO monster synth. The filter, everything on it is great. The LFO, as you heard, goes so long. It's just, yeah, endless possibilities. It's so fun, and I promise you that the link for this Brap is going to be up soon. But hey, you have to understand that this has been a day that I cannot believe it took this long. It just pains me, but I wanted to make sure it was right, and I absolutely guarantee that I just wouldn't let it go unless it's right. So Brap is one of the bees. I don't know what you guys can see here. Gallery view, speaker view. Let's go. How about this? Both? I don't know what you can see. The other bee, Scully, is Banana Sloth. It's Banana Sloth. No, it's not. No, it's not. Actually, Elliot and I were talking about going to Shimokitazawa and see if we can find the sloth down there hiding out. But nobody's been able to go to Japan for like 3 years or 2.5 years now, and so it's kind of been one of those things that environment and the sloth need to be reinitiated. Dijoto has said it's time, so it is time. Basic has said it's time, so it's time. Otto has said it's time, so it's time. Dre has said it's time, so it's time. And Scully has said it's time, so it's time. Alice, I think you know? Oh, yeah, let's talk about Europe right now. What's this I'm hearing that it's 100 degrees in France today? I mean, isn't that a nightmare when you're in Europe and it's like, it's hot there, it's hotter than Satan? Because, let's face it, Europe isn't as prepared for heat. A lot of the places don't even have AC, and a lot of places don't even have ice. The one thing with everything that's going on right now, can you imagine with what's going on with Fisherman? And then I would have to fly over and go to Hellfest. I was thinking that something about the Hellfest wasn't in the cards and wasn't right. And it just didn't seem right. And so I'm so thankful in a lot of ways that we're not in 100 degree France, and I'm not away from Fisherman right now at a time when he needs me. And one thing that I can assure you is that we will make up for this. Wink, wink. Yeah, there is no ice in Europe. Does anybody ever knew that in the even as long ago as 2000, we had to go to McDonald's just to get cups of ice, basically, so that we could have ice when we were doing the Doomsday Reformation. And Hugh Morgan, you have fast rising COVID cases too, and I think they're saying that the new Omicron BA4 and 5 variants are definitely on the rise. It's a risk anywhere we go, you know. It may have been that window that we just saw where we saw Gary Newman do like 600 shows straight, that basically he made it through with only one time getting it. I think that's a bloody miracle. Okay, what's the other B? Okay, the other B, again, is something that years in the making, and years and years and years and years and years of struggle. And it's something that it's a project of first started off as a rough sculpt idea, which I don't actually have with me. I should have had that here. And it was an idea that I shared with Simon Paul. So initially, Simon Paul and I got designing what's known as Boris. So Boris started off with the idea that it would be a dedication to Fisherman, be the soul and the spirit of everything from Fisherman, put into a protection monster for Basil. Thus, Boris is born. And Boris is sort of more durable and did originally have a tail. Unfortunately, Boris does not have a tail at this moment. We went into design about what we wanted to do with eyes, and this was an inevitable print, one of the first prints to see what it looked like, made by Peter Clark. That was sort of like the first rough print. We then began to look at the pieces as it went in towards getting three-dimensional shapes. Finally arriving at, this is a picture of one of the Borises in Japan that has been chromed. Yes, folks, chrome. That is Sophobia underneath, chrome on top. I think that chrome thing slipped in there, but I was talking about the design period and really what it took to get out of this. What was that? There we go. So basically what happens is, to get to this stage where you have molds, you can see here that this is the head, there's two heads, there's the body, this is the legs, and basically what it takes to get to this point is first, let's see here. First of all, it basically, First of all, it gets made into wax before the molds, which is kind of unusual. It is the most expensive part of the whole procedure. And so what they do is they take your sculpture. They take your sculpture, and these are wax. These are actually real wax. This is the body, the two head types. And they fasten it with these spouts. So the spouts will go into a situation where each one of these things will get made into what we just saw, which is that metal mold thing. And so what this is made for is for vinyl to be able to be poured into that spout, filled up into this part, and then pulled out by tweezers, one piece at a time. It has a subcon on the bottom. Made in Japan on the other thing by the Shirohama toy. And this is the various stages of the wax. It was a long procedure. Believe it or not, the wax procedure took, I believe it was, I'm going to say 9 months. And I'm going to say not only that, but it was incredibly expensive. Was in the thousands of dollars. Not really, it wasn't really expected. The long story of it is, the short of the long story is that last time when I made Basil, there was a factory fire, and the original sculpted Basil got burned in that fire. And they made some amends with me so that it didn't cost me. I mean, it cost me a fraction of what this cost me. I learned this time how much real molds cost in Japan. And I was shocked. I mean, let me tell you that it's worth it. I mean, it's worth it, but you don't make these things for. I don't make them for profit. I make them for love. I mean, if I had to make them for profit, I would have to sell them for more. The 48-month people got this special patch and the accompanying patch with the Boris thing, which is based on this beautiful design by Simon and this beautiful design by Simon. And this is how it looked like when it turned out. Thank you, 48-month supporters. You guys, I can't say, I'm just so thankful for you guys. This is the first header. For those of you that are going to get a Boris, it will be the first thing that will be folded, and it'll be like this, be the top of the bag. There's 3 other ones. I'll leave those a surprise. We've been flirting with all sorts of things. You've seen sort of like a mecha Fisherman designs that have been sort of incorporated into Boris. And so at this point, I mean, we were able to fool around with all sorts of things. Peter Clark made those keychains and all sorts of goodies that we haven't really sold, but they were around for the gift portion of Patreon. Yeah, so the final phases of Boris were really getting it together from a 3D print standpoint. That was a very tough thing about how to print and get it finished. When you print a 3D print, it actually doesn't end up being ready to go. It still needs a lot of work. And basically the details of how the joints worked and everything, we had to go back multiple times and work on the jointing and work on various components of what Boris, what was Boris. Oh, this was Boris, the original sculpts that were sent over to Japan. And yeah, we're sort of repeating ourselves here. Wasn't in a good order here. This is all the rejected bodies and stuff that we had printed that basically did not work. The materials were not right. This one in the center was one of the first ones where we were actually able, Peter Clark was actually able to finish it in such a way that it was actually able to be usable. We were able to use it. And this here, as approved by Fisherman, was the very first Boris that was made in this green vinyl. They make it in this green vinyl so that you can approve and see the details. Fish found it to be very approvable with his smile. And this one, there's 2 types of Borises. There's one that has eyes and there's one that doesn't have eyes, as you can see here. So what this shows is that there's an eye hole here. We put an eye in. So basically there's an eye in it in the end. And then there's what we call the flat eye. So basically you can order either, if you like it with the eye or if you don't. And yeah, so basically that leads me to be excited enough to say that, here, let me get my camera back. I'm excited to say that these do exist. Yes, they do. And they exist right here, right now. Yeah, the first thing I have to say is the first time that you see your sculpt, forgive the camera, folks. See if I can get this decent here. The first time you see them, that kind of blows your mind because you've been working on these for hell a long time. And I'm telling you that, okay, so what you're seeing there is, I should probably try and show you. The light blows it out because those chromes are so bright. So these are the chrome ones. I'm going to show you the chrome one first. It looks like an award. It looks like something that, you could stab somebody with. You probably could. If you fell on this, you would die. This here, these, the back has the subcon, I can't even put words to, I think, how sick these turned out. This is the chrome one with it when it has the no eye, and then this has the eye. This is a I was just trying this eye. I think the eye might inevitably be a little bit smaller in the final one, but as you can see, they're articulated. They move. The arms and legs move around. These ones are the first ones I painted. So they're fun to paint. Let's see if we can get light on this one for the paint. They're fun to paint. I'm not a I enjoy painting them, but I mean I cannot wait to see the Paul Kaiju and Gumon ones. They're going to be, I mean, next level. I painted it's kind of like two matching ones. This is the first one I ever painted, so I won't be selling this one, but this one kind of looks like an old toy to me. That red color reminds me of my old fire engine, or something to that effect. I mean, that kind of sounds kind of stupid, but anyways, yes, these are vinyl. There are painted vinyl, these ones. And then there's even one that's kind of like, as we say for the ladies, it's like bright pink. I don't know if it's easy to see that color, how easy it is to see the pink, or even if I'm using a decent cameraman. But like, in the end, I have to say, I mean, there's Fisherman, eternally dedicated, with his fangs. The back has the Subcon logo on the hand up here. It's sort of like engraved into it. It's hard to see it until you see it up close. And again, it's one of these things that you have to see in person because there's so many details that probably can't come through on this. And then again, some people have been, of course, asking me, well, when can I get one? The people that can first get them are you guys on Patreon. There's not very many of these. As a matter of fact, it's so limited that I can say right now that there's only 5 of this one with the eyes, maybe 6, 5 or 6, and there is only 2 of this one. 5 and 2, if you can believe that. It's not like, 100. It's 5 and 2. One thing I wanted to say is like, the chrome ones will probably be a little more expensive than the other ones. We tried to keep the price down below 200 because I think that's like kind of like everyone's sort of limit. But oops, these creep up above 200, mainly because they cost $110 a piece to chrome. Can you believe that? And that doesn't include anything of the price to actually make the sofa-bee part or anything into the molds. So it's like, it's kind of crazy. I mean, if you think about that, you'd probably have to charge like, I don't know, $800 each at that point, where you're thinking about, how you would be realistically looking at it. But I don't want to look at it that way. So these are going to be $250 each, and then the hand painted ones are $200. The pink one back there, the ladies one, would be $180. So there you go. If you would like to buy one of these, then just hit me up, DM on the Patreon. The text messages, the DM, and tell me which one you like, which one you think is cool, or what you would like. And now, if people want to buy more of the painted ones, you could suggest colors to me. I do have a bunch to paint. I'm not going to sell that one on the left, but that red one, the red face, is probably for sale, and then a whole bunch of other ones. But one thing I have to say is that Paul Kaiju is about to release onto the world 15 Borises painted by him, the master. So I know Paul's will probably be 200, and also Gumon is also going to be, they're on their way here right now, folks. The 3 of them are painted by the world famous Gumon. And so Gumon's thing is he always paints them, I will say metallic. And that's kind of his secret, his specialty. So they look like they're made of copper or iron. So it would be the, if you don't like chrome, it would certainly be the thing to do other than that. But these chrome ones, I really, I gotta say, I can't really get over them. I mean, they are absurd. So I probably will make more of these, though, sometime in the future. I don't know when. They're not easy to make. They take a hell of a long time to get. Because what happens is the factory Shirahama makes them. And in this case, this is one of the pink ones. Then the pink ones was sent by Lulubelle over to another factory called Maruyama. This is the factory where Paul Kaiju gets all of his toys made. And from there, the Maruyama factory is known to do their chroming, and they chrome each one, and it has to be assembled to be chromed. So it has to be pre-assembled by somebody there, and then chromed, and then they ship it to me from there. But that procedure took months. So we've got them here now, and I thank Maruyama, I thank Paul Kaiju for the hookup. I thank Amy at Lulubelle. I thank Robert at Lulubelle, Yuki at Lulubelle, and all you guys there for making this dream come true. It's pretty amazing. The fact that there's a dedication to Fisherman makes me feel extremely good about it as well. So, I don't know. It's just one of those things that I never, ever, ever in my life thought that I'm sending off the Brap unit tomorrow to the factory, and I just get the Ode to Fisherman toy. It just seems crazy. It's the alignment of everything. I'll just pray that Fisherman will hold out for a while. I really don't know how long it's going to be, but I really have to say that I'm going to give it everything. Scully, you should chrome yourself. Simon Paul, this is yours, by the way. I'm sending this to you. You should listen to Chrome. Let's see. Yeah, the pale pink. So the pale pink. To people that like pale pink, I mean, it certainly is. It's pale pink. Any other questions here? Yeah, it's a lot of work coming to fruition. It's crazy. Yes, that is yours, Simon. Make sure you don't do anything like sit on it or bring it near your head or anything like that. It is definitely sharp. So, I don't know. So once again, I'd like to thank all you guys for your support on Patreon. Without you guys, I don't know what really, I think we've gone on 4 years now, which is the thing I cannot believe. The number of videos that I've been able to make, it's kind of like one of these things where each week, each Thursday night, I sit there to make a video. And at first it was a little bit of a struggle because I really didn't have any idea how to make videos. But over the time, I'm just basically come up with what I consider, I guess, my style. And then so when I make the videos, I actually have a hell of a lot of fun. And so this last one for La Humanate, dub version 2, basically kind of struck a chord with me because my computer will not work fast enough so that I can see what it looks like before I render it. There's a lot of guessing, and basically in the end result, first time I see it, it's almost like a treat in itself, because I'll see it in its full resolution and its ability to impress or not. And it has to impress me, I guess, first. And sometimes I like kind of this magical thing, like oh my God, if I ever did acid and watched that type thing. But this one kind of had a big message, so I hope you guys liked it. As I said, I wouldn't be making the videos if it wasn't for you guys on Patreon, so I thank you for that. I wouldn't have done these live streams if it wasn't for you guys on Patreon. There's going to be more big news coming up. I just would like you to know. And that's when things at Patreon are going to start to get real fun. Yes, indeed. So, Alice, Matthew, Simon, Hugh, JC, Databomb, Skuska, and all the rest of you guys, thank you for tuning in. And it'd be really cool if you basically put out the healing energies to Fisherman, and we all do it at once. And especially today, 4:20 Pacific Daylight Time. There's no relevance to 4:20 at all. Big love to you guys. Thank you very much for your support. Over and out.